Okay, g'day guys, Jeremy Ward and David Ecob here from Oatlands Pro Shop. So basically we're going to talk to you about David's junior career. So our junior program is in full swing at the moment. We have our JDP fundraiser coming up on the 13th of June, Monday the 13th of June. So we take this chance to just let you know about that, and hopefully everyone will book in and have a game with one of our up and coming juniors. I thought I'd take this chance to ask David a few questions. As we all know, David's had a pretty fantastic professional career as a player and obviously as a coach. But I guess you don't really, you don't just turn pro magically. You've got to have a pretty decent junior career, and I'm assuming that's what David has had growing up. So thought we'd ask him a few questions and just and see how he got to where he is today. So basically, first question: what age did you start playing the game of golf?
I started at the age of 6. My father was a member of Ashlar Golf Club out of Blacktown there. And they had a pretty good junior program where we could come and play a few holes and get lessons in the afternoon. So basically I had to go out in the morning and caddy for my father. In the afternoon, link into my lessons and then play 3 holes, which was part of their program.
So how many kids were playing, how many kids were part of the junior program? Because I know when I started, there was only maybe 2 or 3 of us. How many did you have?
We had about 12 kids in the program, and that was mixed between girls and boys. The process was very good. They had a qualifying event each time. They set a number that you had to shoot for 3 holes. Once you could shoot that number, then you'd go into the 9 holes from there. And once you completed the 9 holes of shooting a certain score, then you could become a full member and join the club as a full junior member.
So when you became a junior member and you what was your first handicap, by the way?
30. 30 was my first handicap, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long did it take for you to get to like single figures?
Okay, I was 13 when I joined as a full junior member, so I'd gone through the cadet program. I started playing in competitions. I'm tipping by the time I was about 15 and a half, I was down to a 2 handicap.
So 15 and a half off 2. At what age did you start to think maybe this is something that I could do as a career?
Well, probably since I was about 14. I was still playing soccer and doing golf at the same time. As my father said, it looks like you're just making up the numbers playing soccer. I wasn't very big, still not very big now, but and I decided then I would like to try golf as a career. So I was about 13 or 14 when I decided to do that.
What age were you off scratch?
Well, I had a bit of a funny setback as far as golf went. My main ambition was to become a state player, obviously a state junior. So my father decided, well, we'll get out of Ashlar, we'll join a Group 1 golf course, because that's back then Castle Hill was closer to my home. I lived in Castle Hill all my life. I joined there, started playing there. But my father said, well, we want to get a really good coach, and that's where I linked up with Alex Mercer, who was the state coach at the time of the juniors and the senior team. And he had some very good players, as Steve Elkington, Peter O'Malley, Brett Ogle. We all went through that sort of scheme with Alex. So my progression then, I was off 2. My handicap, after seeing Alex, went to 8. So that was a bit of a bad process, if you want to call it that. I actually went backwards first. But once I got the gist of it and worked on the things Alex had given me to do, I was basically playing off a +3 handicap in about another 12 months' time.
So 16 off +3?
16 was a +3 handicap, yeah.
Wow. So in terms of, talk to us, is it any different today in terms of the teams? So, we have our, your JDP program, and then we push, you go and get a handicap, you're playing Courage Shield, and then junior pennants, and then Eric Appley, and then major pennants. So what teams did you play in as a young fella?
I virtually played senior pennants when I was like probably 17, 16 years of age.
Which is major
pennants, yeah. I played probably 1 game of junior pennants. I played, Eric Appley was probably the main one that I played in representing Castle Hill. Back then we were lucky enough to win one of the pennants. I think we won it in like 1985, I think it may have been. We won the Eric Appley final against Pennant Hills. So that was 1 feather in the cap. But what I tried to do is actually step myself stepping stones. Obviously represent the club, become club champion, which I did that at Castle Hill in about 1984. From then onwards, the next stepping stone was trying to get into the state junior side, which was probably one of the hardest things to try and do, because there was a hell of a lot of juniors going around then trying to get into the same team.
So so that's your teams. In terms of how many junior tournaments were you playing? Like what events would you go and play? Would you travel around Australia? Would you travel around the state?
Yeah,
What would you?
virtually all around Australia. My
Right.
father would say, okay, my mother, obviously being the taxis at the time, driving me here then everywhere. My first ever tournaments I played as a 12-year-old was out at Wentworth, out at Orange. And from then on, I was travelling around the place playing Taree. There was a junior tournament there. Went up to the Australian Amateur, that was up in Queensland. So basically, yeah, I was travelling around from a very young age to sort of get acclimatised, and better myself as far as playing golf.
So what age did you turn pro?
I turned pro when I was 22, but again, I set myself all the goals that I wanted to achieve. I successfully got into the junior team, the state junior team. I then managed to get into the state senior team, still as a junior. And I was lucky enough then to, when I did get selected for the state side, we went to the interstate series, over in South Australia. I went across solely as a reserve. I was lucky enough to get in there and play a couple of games. But the ultimate goal was in that same year we had the Australian Amateur, and I ended up winning the 1986 Australian Amateur Champion.
There you go. So last question, in terms of for our juniors or for our members that have got kids that don't, like what do you need to do to become an elite junior golfer, or what? So, maybe what do you see that our juniors aren't doing that they probably should be, like in terms of practice? What do you need to do to become the best golfer you can be?
Well, solely got to get your parents on your side first. If you get your parents on your side and are willing to travel and take you everywhere, come and see us as far as coaching goes. That's on one-on-one. That's always become a better thing, like I did with Alex. Basically, when I was seeing Alex, I was probably nearly going once a month, and that was in town. So I'd drive from Castle Hill into the city, get my half-hour lesson. And by the way, back then in the early 80s, it was $70 then. So we haven't really progressed much as far as that goes. But again, I was seeing the top echelon, the top golfer in Australia. But also too, just try and mix your golf up. Don't always just play the same golf course all the time. Play a lot of junior tournaments. Jack Newton Golf Foundation. Unfortunately, I wasn't around when that was already progressed through it. I wasn't eligible to play in any of the Jack Newton stuff, but his programs are all very good. And obviously, get into the club and play some more junior tournaments. Come to our day we've got on Monday, the June 13 there, and get involved.
There you go. So there you have it, guys. David Ecob's, I guess, a brief encounter into his junior career. As I said at the start of the video, we have our JDP fundraiser coming up. Our junior program is in full swing. We basically for those that don't know, we do a class pretty much every single day except for Monday. Some days we do 2 classes. So our program here is very strong. We're heading in the right direction. We've got a lot of young juniors. We're going to have a great Encourage Shield team this year, maybe 2 Encourage Shield teams, which would be awesome. We'll definitely have a junior pennant team, an area Capley team. So things are progressing in the right direction, and it's just good to hear what David went through to become a professional golfer and to be where he is today. So we might do another one of these ones shortly, but thanks for tuning in, and we'll speak soon.